Two principals, including the leader of the largest school in Stanford, could be transferred to new positions this summer by the outgoing superintendent. Nothing has been officially announced yet, but both the principal of Westhill High School and Rogers International School say they were informed this week that they may be involuntarily moved. It's a story that sparked a lot of conversation across Stanford, from parents and students to teachers and the broader community. Today, I'm joined by Westhill High School principal Michael Rinaldi to talk about what's happening, what people should understand, and what this moment means for students and families across Stanford. Mr. Rinaldi, welcome to the Hey Stamford podcast.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
We have a lot to talk about today.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to have you here on the podcast. But I want to start, take a couple steps back, actually. And I want to talk about Stanford for a second. You are a product of Stamford Public Schools?
I am. I'm third generation Stanford, and actually graduated from Westhill High School.
Wow.
Yeah. And my son just graduated from Westhill last year as well. So.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Talk to me about your rise within the school system. Where did you start? How did you end up at Westhill?
Well, so I actually, I won't go too long on this. I've told this story to parents over the years, but it was at Westhill when I was a student that I discovered I actually wanted to be an educator.
Wow.
At the time, we have a wonderful club at Westhill called Best Buddies, and these are students who work with challenged students. We didn't have that club, but I volunteered with a group of students that had some challenges, were learning disabled, or some of them had Down syndrome and so forth. And I discovered through that I wanted to be a special education teacher. And so I always credit Westhill with really starting my career, or at least the passion I have for what I do. Anyway, so I went to Southern. My degree was in special ed. And then my career in Stanford goes like this. I started at Northeast Elementary School, where I taught 5th grade. At Northeast School, there was a very vibrant bilingual program at the time. I believe it's still there. And I was inspired. I wanted to learn Spanish. So after I received my tenure, I took a leave of absence and I moved to Puerto Rico.
Wow.
And I taught English in Puerto Rico for a year. I came back and then taught special education at Turner River Middle School for 2 years, and then went to Dolan, taught 7th grade social studies there. Then I became what's called an administrative intern, because I became interested in administration, did that at Dolan as well. Then, and I'm sure we can talk more about it, I ended up at Rogers Magnet School, the old Rogers, on Lockwood Avenue, and that's where I met Kathy Cummings. And I was her assistant principal. That's when she became a principal, and we worked together there for a few years. Then I went back to Dolan as an assistant principal. Then I was at Stanford High as an assistant principal. Then I was back to Dolan as an assistant principal. Then I went to RIP as an assistant principal. And then I just aged myself a little bit. And then, so 9 years ago, I applied for and was blessed to become principal of Westhill. So I'm finishing my 9th year at Westhill. So kids, that's 39 years in the district. There it is.
That's an incredible ride. 9 years as principal of Westhill, though.
Yes,
plus
sir.
Being a student there, that's a big full circle moment.
Yeah, it is. It's fairy tale kind of stuff, really.
Hey Stamford is your #1 resource for all things local. And if you're tuning into this podcast, I'm guessing the city of Stamford holds a special place in your heart. So if you want to rep the city of Stamford, Hey Stamford, the store is where it's at.
We make comfy, stylish hoodies and tees inspired by our city. Perfect for anyone who wants to rep Stanford while keeping it local. Hey Stamford, the store is your go-to for local goods, gifts, apparels, and more. Stop by in person at the Stanford Town Center or shop online at heystamford.com. Your one-stop spot to support local and look great doing it. One thing that I love that you do is your Instagram page. It's engaging.
You don't find it irritating?
Not at all. Not at all. It's one of my favorite pages. It's energetic, starts the day out right, and I think the kids enjoy it too.
I hope they do. I hope they appreciate it. I do get some feedback on my playlist in the morning when I'm playing music out front. But I discovered first at Ripwam, actually. I had the good fortune of working with a principal at the time, Jason Martin, very good friend of mine. He helped me understand the power of social media, and we used Twitter at the time to try to help rebrand Ripon Middle School. So when I got to Westhill, I kind of had that experience, and I was like, oh, these kids aren't on Twitter. What's this Instagram thing about? And, at the high school, when there's almost 2,000 students and then their families and so many teachers and so forth, I thought that might be a good way to go. And as I was saying to you before we started the podcast, as a teacher, I always made sure and loved standing in front of my classroom door to greet kids every day. I don't have a classroom anymore, but now I have a school, so that's how I like to start my day. So that's it. It's people say some nice things about it, but I can't imagine starting any day without being out front in the morning.
To me, it says that you're present and you're there.
Yeah.
You're talking with the kids. It's great.
I think it's important for kids to know, especially high school kids, where there's got to be one spot where I could find my principal every day.
Right.
And so if you're willing to get to me early, from 6:30 to 7:15, 7:20, you could find me out front. And I have a lot of conversations with a lot of kids every morning.
You've had a crazy week.
It's been something. Yeah, it's been a little different. Yeah.
Let's get into it a little bit. According to some news reports and some rumors, there's been a conversation about some involuntary changes at the principal level of a few different principals going from school to school. From your perspective, can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, I can. Our superintendent came to see me Friday, March 13th. And we had a conversation. The superintendent visits principals all the time, so it was a pre-scheduled visit. And she complimented me on my skills to build relationships with students, and we were going a little bit back and forth on that, and it was nice to hear these things, but I wondered what that was about. And then that's when she told me that she'd really like me to be open-minded because she was thinking about transferring me to the Anchor program. So when she said that, I really wasn't prepared to hear that for a couple of reasons. I've been principal for 9 years at Westhill. I think I've done a good job. I know all my evaluations have been excellent. We're about to embark on the build of a brand new high school right on the campus. I've been intimately involved in all of those meetings with not just our school folks, not just our teachers and department heads and administration, but also the city planners, architects. And so I just found that to be odd. And, I guess I responded in a manner where she said, well, I'm sure that's not what you were expecting me to say, but I need you to think about it. And I said, Dr. Lucero, I don't have to think about it more than the 2 minutes that, you just put it in my mind. I don't want to go. I said, Anchor deserves someone who really is passionate about that program, and it's a wonderful program. The teachers and the community at Anchor deserves to select someone. I did mention you already have a director of Anchor that I think still wants to be there. So for all those reasons, and one other reason, I said to Dr. Lucero, Dr. Lucero, respectfully, I'm sure you're aware of this, if I'm placed at Anchor, eventually that's going to be a substantial pay cut. That's a director position, not a high school principal position. And, the work isn't motivated by money, but, you have a son in college, and I explained that my wife and I made decisions on all of that based on our combined incomes. So I said, for all those reasons, I don't want to go to Anchor. And so I guess I have to ask you, Dr. Lucero, are you saying that you would involuntarily transfer me to Anchor? And she said, I may. And I said, Dr. Lucero, that's a lot to hear. And then she said to me, well, your contract is what your contract is. And this is everything I've already said, and then most of that was reported in the newspaper the other day, so that's it.
That's a difficult conversation to have with your boss.
It is. And may I interrupt you to say, the superintendent, any superintendent definitely has the right, and it's necessary to allow them the opportunity to transfer administrators, principals, assistant principals, and it happens all the time. But I think I said something in the newspaper along the lines of that those decisions have to be made, would respectfully assert, after real thoughtful consideration for all of for the school communities involved in that. When I was fortunate enough to be appointed principal of Westhill, there was a very long process in place to select the next principal. And so I think Anchor deserves that same process. I certainly know that the teachers and students and families of Westhill deserve that same opportunity. If I am transferred involuntarily to Anchor, I'm going to have to consider that a demotion. I would consider that a demotion without cause. So that's serious. And there's a ripple effect. And I would say that Principal Cummings deserves the same kind of consideration. Rogers, I mentioned before that I started my career with Principal Cummings at Rogers. So Kathy was my first principal mentor that I worked with as an assistant principal, and she was awesome. And I know that the district has invested tens of thousands of dollars into Rogers, into Kathy. Kathy brought, we were there together, but Kathy was the principal. She brought the IB program to Rogers. And so successful was it that it became what it is now, and a brand new school was built. And then Ripwam, where I also worked, we adopted the IB program because so many students were involved in it at Rogers and were districted for RIP. And then Stanford High took a portion of the IB program. And then, of course, Strawberry Hill
right,
opened. And so Kathy Cummings should stay right where she is. In my opinion.
You mentioned the Westhill community. What does leadership continuity mean for students and parents at Westhill? What does that mean for Westhill?
You're asking me what it would mean for students and parents, and I would imagine you mean for staff as well. So they would have to speak for themselves, of course. I know that as a teacher myself, as a parent of a student who just graduated from the school system, continuity is important, and uncertainty is very uncomfortable. And PJ, the other part of that is voice, teacher voice. student voice, parent voice. It matters. Schools are communities. I mean, I've never been in your store before. I wish I had been. This is all about Stanford, right? Stanford's a community. Every individual school in our district is a community unto itself. And then collectively, the entire district is a community. And every decision has to be made, I believe, with that in mind. And stakeholders are the citizens, the teachers, the students, the families. They're all members of that community. And so, whereas Dr. Lucero hasn't made any final decisions, speaking to the principals that she's spoken to and hearing that news, we have an obligation. We spoke as a group, and we decided we had an obligation to let our school communities know. We did that in a very professional way.
There's a big outpouring of support for you, for Rogers, Principal Cummings over there. Voices are being heard on social media right now, and Instagram pages being created, and sharing facts right now about what's happening. But students are sharing their voices.
Yeah. I guess I anticipated some of this, but the outpouring is more than I expected, actually. And it's reassuring and it's humbling. I'm grateful for it. It was all weekend, because it was one thing after another, right? It was the parents on the Facebook that Stay Informed, and then then the students started the Save Forker Rinaldi page, and then this morning my wife showed me a change.org. And so I've been trying to process all of that. And now I realize I'm only, maybe almost 13 hours away from being out front tomorrow morning and greeting all the students. And I want them to be able to focus on school.
Right.
I want them to be able to focus on what they're there for. But they're gonna care about what's happening. And I believe in being very transparent with kids to the extent that you should be.
Right.
They're not 10.
Right.
So, I'm thinking a lot about how to properly be present for that tomorrow.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, you're welcome.
What gives you optimism right now?
What gives me optimism with regard to an outcome, or just in general, or
just in general right now? There is that support.
I mean, I don't want to sound too philosophical or whatever, but things happen. I obviously don't want to be involuntarily transferred for all the reasons that we spoke about, but I'll be able to feel that support and that love forever, right? So I don't know if that does it give me optimism that the outcome will be okay? I think it does. I think our current Board of Ed is a board that listens and is fair. We're going to be, there's a general board meeting Tuesday night, and obviously it's not a secret that folks are concerned and may speak about their concerns Tuesday night. And then Wednesday, it's already on the calendar. This isn't anything that isn't available to everybody. We're going to be able to share our grievance with the Board of Ed, and we'll see what the outcome is. So I'm optimistic, but I think for me personally, more important than feeling optimistic is just feeling the support. It feels good to know that people appreciate you. And I know I speak for Matt Forker, and I know I speak for Kathy Cummings when I say that as well.
Right.
It feels good. It feels really good.
You're sitting here right now, but for Principal Forker and Principal Cummings, that support has been the same for them
100%.
across the board. Yeah.
100%. And, you know, obviously we're in a text chain together and we're talking all the time. And it does. I think, I know it feels good, but I think it's a natural outcome of just years of commitment, you know? Kathy's been in the district for many, many years, and she's served in, I know she was at Stark School for many years, and she was obviously a teacher before that. And Matt Forker, like me, went to Stanford. He went to Stanford High, like I went to Westhill, and he was a teacher, and that's why it's community, you
Right.
know? And I think the support that and the love that we're feeling is kind of like a wake behind your boat, you know? You move through your career, and hopefully you've supported students and teachers and families, and it comes back to you. You don't always get to see it. If I could wipe away everything that's just happened in the past week, I certainly would.
Right.
Who needs the stress? It's stressful. But there's blessings and stuff. And so if not for that, you know, people appreciate you, but, you know, we wouldn't have known to this extent.
Right.
So, yeah.
You mentioned something earlier about the construction at school, which you've been involved in since the beginning.
Yeah.
I think there's something there about that continuity as well.
Yeah.
You've been a key part of that.
Well, yeah, absolutely. But not just me. Our administrative team, our wonderful department heads at Westhill, we're all involved in it. And I was thinking, I always think positive, and I always work toward the outcome that I want to achieve. But I'm just thinking about how, when I became principal, I had been assistant principal for many years. I was assistant principal at Stamford High, so I understood the high school life. When I transitioned to principal, it's a huge transition. But I didn't transition to Westhill while they were building a new school.
Right.
So I had the very good fortune of following Camille Figluzzi, who was principal before me, and really she took the time to really help me understand Westhill, and I wouldn't even know how to begin to help someone understand everything that's going on with the construction. I have meetings scheduled for next week with city planners, and I'm in constant communication with the main architect. We're about to close the student parking, but we might have some plans for that. We'll see. Construction's going to begin. They're building the access road right now. It's a lot, but I don't know. Perhaps the superintendent has a plan I'm unaware of, but it's a lot. It's a lot.
Based on what you know, let's talk about the process here a little bit. Superintendent has the opportunity to make involuntary changes along the way.
Yep.
Do these need to go through the Board of Ed? Do they get a say in that?
I always am very careful to tell you what I know is a fact and let you know when I'm not quite sure. I know that when a principal is appointed, goes through the process and is appointed, that the board has to approve it. So when I was appointed principal, or when I was selected to be the principal, I went to the government center and the board had a vote on it. So when it comes to transfers, I don't know if ultimately the board approves that or not. Principals have been transferred before to different schools. I don't know. I honestly don't know if the board has final approval for that or not.
And just to be clear, the decision is not final yet.
No, it's not. And I want to make sure everybody understands that Dr. Lucero didn't tell me I was definitely going. She
Right.
certainly let me know she was very seriously thinking about it, but there's been no decisions.
We talked about what keeps you kind of optimistic about it, but what's been the hardest part about this conversation?
You know what? Well, the hardest part of this is not a hard conversation for me. What's hard about the situation is the number of people who've reached out to me and want to know what's going on and are sharing concerns with me. They're all folks, they're all members of the Westhill High School community, and I want to share with them. I want to answer their questions.
Right.
And I want to share with them exactly what's happening. A newspaper article is only going to be able to share so much. So I also, that's why I appreciate this opportunity, because
Right.
I want to make sure everybody fully understands what the facts are. So.
Right. So to those parents, to the staff, to the students that are feeling uncertain right now, what would you say to them?
Here's what I'd say. I'm going to be at Westhill tomorrow morning, and I'm going to give Westhill High School my 100% commitment every single minute of every day for as long as I can. And I would remind our students and our parents and especially our teachers that your voice matters. And when I said that just now, it's not about what's going to happen Tuesday night or Wednesday. It's into the future. Westhill, there aren't many people probably watching this podcast who can tell you off like that who the first principal of Westhill was. It goes on. It's not my school.
Right.
I'm just the person fortunate enough to help lead it right now. And you know, the school community will continue, but it's the voices. It's being able to exercise your voice as a member of a school community that keeps it going. So I would just reassure everyone that their voice will continue to matter to the extent that they continue to exercise it for themselves. That's it. Yeah.
On Tuesday night, there's a Board of Ed meeting, which I believe is closed to the public.
The general board meeting is on, and that part of the general meeting is still open to the public.
Got it.
They're
Okay.
going into, I don't know if it's, I think before the general board meeting at 7, I believe the board is going to go into executive session
Okay.
to talk about all of this.
Right.
But the general board meeting is still on, and the public portion to be heard and all that is still happening Tuesday. Yeah. Yeah.
Anything else that you would like to share with our listeners?
Well, if the listeners are among the folks that have been so kind as to reach out and to share their support, I guess I would just want to say thank you. Regardless of the outcome, PJ, there are moments. I've been around a long time, and it's the gratitude I have for having had the opportunity to serve as a teacher and as an administrator in our district is it's hard to put into words. And so really, no matter what the outcome is here, my gratitude's even deeper now, you know? And I think I also speak for Matt Forker and Kathy Cummings. We appreciate the support very much. And I don't have anything more to share about what's going on. That's really everything. But my enthusiasm will not be daunted. I will be there tomorrow morning, and I can't wait to go to school. And that's how I felt for 39 years, and it was only increased when I became principal, and I can't wait to go back to school tomorrow. That's it.
Your enthusiasm is contagious.
Thank you.
We appreciate you. You've done some really tremendous things with Westhill. You've grown through the system, through the Stanford school system, and here you are 9 years into Westhill. So we'll be watching Monday morning as you go right back to greeting the students in the morning.
Thank you.
And we're wishing you the best of luck.
Thank you, PJ. Again, I appreciate the opportunity, and congratulations to you. I'm definitely coming back and getting a sweatshirt or something. This store is awesome. Awesome. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay.